After regaining his body, Yao Chen astonishingly reached the rank of Half-Dou Sheng, effortlessly repelling the two heavenly Dou Zuns from the Soul Hall. Continuing from the previous chapter, on the square atop the mountain, figures like the Wind Dou Zun gathered with solemn expressions, gazing intently at the sky. The Dou Zun of fire furrowed his brows and spoke in a deep voice. The people from the Soul Hall have arrived. The Wind Dou Zun nodded slightly, his face maintaining a calm demeanor. He had long known this day would come. He stepped forward with a deliberate pace, changing hand seals as he did so. The falling star grand array rippled in the sky, and space began to warp. The outside world appeared clearly before everyone's eyes. When they saw the outside scene, they all involuntarily gasped in shock. The falling star pavilion was now shrouded in a black mist, and not far in front of them, nearly 100 figures stood within the mist. Among them were the star-plucking old ghost, the black and white heavenly Dou Zuns, and other powerful figures. The Soul Hall really thinks highly of us. The Wind Dou Zun sighed deeply. An elder of the falling star pavilion asked fearfully, "What should we do now?" The Wind Dou Zun frowned, scanning the star realm, then looked at the thousands of disciples of the falling star pavilion and said in a solemn voice, "We have no choice but to give it our all." He then turned to the elders and asked, "You are all the elders of the falling star pavilion. Today we face an unprecedented disaster. What are your plans?" The elders replied in unison with solemnity, "Master Wind, the falling star pavilion is our foundation. Whoever wants to destroy it, we will fight to the death." The Wind Dou Zun said firmly, "Good, good, good. Since that's the case, today let us resist to the death. I want to see just how domineering the Soul Hall truly is." His words were forceful and immediately boosted the morale of all the disciples of the falling star pavilion. Wind Dou Zun, I advise you to obediently hand over the person. The grand array of the falling star pavilion cannot protect you, the star-plucking old ghost said ominously, looking down at the space below. Although there was only a forest sea, he understood it was due to the falling star grand array. His cold shout was met with no response. The star-plucking old ghost sneered, turned to the two elders dressed in black and white, and said, "Let's both strike to destroy the array. Our actions are too sensational. Many forces may be watching. So today we must take bloody measures to suppress the falling star pavilion and let other forces understand that the Soul Hall is not to be trifled with." The black and white heavenly Dou Zuns nodded slightly, then raised their palms and clenched them fiercely. Suddenly, a terrifying spatial power spread rapidly. 3 intangible giant hands tightly grasped the void, and an intangible light shield flickering with starlight appeared before everyone. The star-plucking old ghost roared in anger, clenched his palm fiercely, and smashed it into the intangible light shield, causing ripples to appear. A tremendous roar echoed in the sky. Then, the fierce winds from the black and white heavenly Dou Zuns poured down on the light shield like a heavy rain. The fierce attacks launched by the 3 5-star Dou Zuns made the light shield teeter, and the grand array was hard to withstand their 3-person assault. The Wind Dou Zun's expression changed slightly as he watched the light shield about to shatter. This time, the Soul Hall sent 3 heavenly Dou Zuns, 7 Dou Zuns, and other strong figures. His eyes flickered, and then he said in a deep voice, "The 7 Dou Zuns and other strong figures are not much trouble, but the 3 figures including the star-plucking old ghost are a big trouble." The Wind Dou Zun paused, gritted his teeth fiercely, and said, "I will intercept the black and white heavenly Dou Zuns." Upon hearing this, Little Fairy Doctor and others frowned. "How can you be their opponent alone?" The Wind Dou Zun took a deep breath and said, "We just need to buy time until Yao Chen successfully comes out of seclusion." Everyone was silent. Xiao Yan and Yao Chen had entered the stone tower nearly half a month ago, but there was no news coming out. What use was this short time to them? "I will deal with the star-plucking old ghost. One of the black and white heavenly Dou Zuns will be handled by the heavenly demon puppet. As for the other heavenly Dou Zun, Little Fairy Doctor and the fire Dou Zun will join forces." Just as everyone was at a loss, a calm voice suddenly sounded, followed by the figure of a thin man slowly appearing in the air halfway up the mountain peak. "Young Master Xiao Yan has come out of seclusion?" As soon as he appeared, the disciples of the Falling Star Pavilion immediately cheered up. Seeing Xiao Yan's sudden appearance, the Wind Dozun's face also revealed a pleasant surprise, and he hurriedly asked, "Have you come out of seclusion? What about Yao Chen?" "The teacher still needs time." Xiao Yan shook his head slowly. After hesitating for a moment, Qing Lin suddenly said in a low voice, "Then let me take on the last Heavenly Dozun. Let Little Fairy Doctor and the others block the other Dozun strongmen. Young Master Xiao Yan, rest assured, I can hold him off." Xiao Yan's gaze also turned to Qing Lin. Seeing her so persistent, Xiao Yan nodded. Then he waved his hand, and 11 puppets appeared in midair. Then he looked up and said softly, "Open the grand array. It's about to break." Upon hearing this, the Wind Dozun changed his hand seals. The light shield in the sky trembled and slowly dissipated. The star-plucking old ghost sneered coldly, looking at the light shield that slowly dissipated in the sky, and said, "I said we would meet again. This time, I want to see who can save you." Xiao Yan heard the star-plucking old ghost's sinister laughter and slowly rose into the air. The black and white heavenly Dozuns exchanged glances and nodded slightly. Just as they were about to enter the star realm and start a massacre, a golden light suddenly struck, directly rushing towards one of them. The black heavenly Dozun glanced at the heavenly demon puppet and said, "A puppet? It's rare to see a puppet that can match a 4-star Dozun. I'll take care of it." The white heavenly Dozun gave a sinister smile and bypassed the heavenly demon puppet. A petite figure stood in front of the midair, smiling and saying to him, "Old man, let me be your opponent." The white heavenly Dozun was stunned, and then a vast Do-Chi surged out, sweeping towards Qing Lin. At this moment, Xiao Yan and the star-plucking old ghost were completely in a head-on collision, officially entering the level of a 2-star Dozun. Coupled with the activation of the 3 transformations of the heavenly fire, facing a 5-star Dozun, he already had the qualification to fight face-to-face, no longer needing to be extremely careful about the other party's attack. The most deeply felt was his opponent, the star-plucking old ghost. The more he fought with Xiao Yan, the more shocked he was. This big difference has not been long. How does this kid's strength improve again? If this continues, the next time we meet, I may not be his opponent. 2 figures flickered like ghosts, and every contact would explode with a huge sound. "I have to see how many lives the Falling Star Pavilion can take for you to consume," said the star-plucking old ghost with a sinister tone. Hearing this, Xiao Yan glanced at the star realm, and his heart sank slightly. Although some elders of the Falling Star Pavilion could still compete with the strong men of the Soul Hall, other ordinary disciples were not their opponents. It can't continue to be consumed. It must be solved as soon as possible. Xiao Yan thought for a while, then slowly nodded. He turned to the star-plucking old ghost with a sneer, and the Do-Chi began to run quickly along a peculiar path. With the operation of Do-Chi, the right palm of Xiao Yan gradually showed a dark golden light. At the same time, he stepped lightly in the air towards the star-plucking old ghost. Seeing Xiao Yan coming slowly, the star-plucking old ghost showed a smile on his face. "Now I let you see the true power of a 5-star Dozun." The star-plucking old ghost's sinister smile grew larger and larger, and the vast Do-Chi gushed out from his palm, then condensed into a black ghost head big knife. Then he grabbed the big knife and quickly swung it, creating a series of afterimages, and then angrily chopped down. Faced with the terrifying sword light that could tear the world, Xiao Yan's eyes slightly fluctuated, slowly stopped his steps, and the dark golden light on his right palm became more and more rich, and finally when the dark gold reached the extreme, the black light finally appeared slightly trembling. Grand heavenly creation palm. A palm fell, and the space almost collapsed instantly. A chilling black circle quickly spread from Xiao Yan's palm, and collided fiercely with the sharp sword light. The collision between the two did not produce the fierce explosion people expected. The sword light seemed to enter a bottomless black hole, without any fluctuation, and even the spread speed of the black circle was not hindered. Everyone saw this scene and gasped in shock, looking at it in disbelief. How could this be possible? Everyone's mind was in chaos, and they could only keep muttering. The star-plucking old ghost looked at the spreading black circle, and his figure quickly retreated. Seeing the star-plucking old ghost fleeing, Xiao Yan's palm shook fiercely, and the spread speed of the black circle suddenly increased, and a suction force suddenly surged out from the circle. The star-plucking old ghost looked at the rapidly spreading black circle in horror, and the fear of death climbed to his heart. He understood that being sucked into the circle would even kill him. Looking at the star-plucking old ghost who was close at hand, Xiao Yan's eyes were cold, and the spread speed of the black circle suddenly increased again. Nineth Heavenly Dozun, save me! The star-plucking old ghost, who could not escape, screamed in a shrill voice, echoing in the sky. Hearing the scream of the star-plucking old ghost, Xiao Yan was stunned. The Soul Hall actually had hidden strong people, and this person's identity was even called him an adult by the Heavenly Dozun of the Soul Hall. With this thought in mind, Xiao Yan's eyes flickered, and no matter what, he first killed this star-plucking old ghost who had been an enemy to him many times. The killing intention surged in his heart, and the spread speed of the black circle suddenly increased. The terrible suction force close at hand made the star-plucking old ghost's soul fly away, and the scream was even more shrill. Waste, forced to such an extent by a younger generation. Do you still have the qualifications to be a Heavenly Dozun of the Soul Hall? Just as the circle was about to touch the body of the star-plucking old ghost, a faint and indifferent voice slowly sounded. Then a crack quickly appeared behind the star-plucking old ghost, and a blue figure slowly stepped out. Although the indifferent voice made the star-plucking old ghost feel ashamed, he obviously cared more about his own life and quickly shouted, "Adult, please save me." The blue figure glanced at Xiao Yan lightly, then looked at the rapidly spreading black circle and said in a low voice, "It's actually a heaven-class Do skill. It's really an enviable kid." After that, he grabbed the shoulder of the star-plucking old ghost, and his figure quickly retreated. Seeing this person trying to save the star-plucking old ghost, a trace of coldness flashed in Xiao Yan's eyes. The Do Qi in his body was madly poured out, and the spread speed of the black circle also instantly increased to catch up with the star-plucking old ghost, touching his feet. A subtle sound sounded, and the eyes of the star-plucking old ghost solidified instantly. At the moment he lost his life, the blue figure stopped, looking coldly at the rapidly retreating black circle, and then took a look at the star-plucking old ghost in his hand, only the upper part of the chest. A rich blue energy spread from his palm, and then completely wrapped the remnant of the star-plucking old ghost, and finally turned into blue ice crystals. He flicked his hand, and the ice crystals slowly broke and burst into countless fragments, and the latter's body also turned into powder. Although the star-plucking old ghost has failed many tasks and should be punished accordingly, but the executor of this task should not be you, so you must bear some responsibility for his death. Nineth Heavenly Dozun stared at Xiao Yan and said. Xiao Yan squinted his eyes, feeling an extremely dangerous breath from Nineth Heavenly Dozun, but this could not make him give up. The blue and red bone wings behind him trembled, the wings vibrated, and his figure instantly retreated. Seeing Xiao Yan retreat, Nineth Heavenly Dozun slowly shook his head. The space beside him twisted, and his figure disappeared strangely. At the moment when Nineth Heavenly Dozun disappeared, Xiao Yan's hair stood on end instantly. But as soon as his eyes blinked, he saw the blue figure already less than 2 feet in front of him. Nineth Heavenly Dozun's right palm lightly swept out, bringing up an extremely dense cold breath, as if lightning was rushing towards Xiao Yan. Seeing this, Xiao Yan's face also quickly became serious, and the purple-brown flame quickly gathered in his right palm, finally turning into a winding and coiled fire dragon, and heavily collided with Nineth Heavenly Dozun's palm. There was no earth-shattering sound when they collided, the heat and cold interweaved, only bursting out a dense white smoke. Immediately after, a disheveled figure flew backward and finally smashed heavily against a mountain wall. Xiao Yan wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, looking gloomily at the blue figure in the sky. Facing the star-plucking old ghost, he could still fight. "Come with me." Nineth Heavenly Dozun glanced at Xiao Yan, and his figure moved to appear in front of the latter. Xiao Yan stared at the Nineth Heavenly Dozun who was reaching out his palm, and a fierce color flashed in his eyes. Just as he was about to fight desperately, an arm stretched out from behind him, calmly grabbing Nineth Heavenly Do Zun's palm. At the same time, a faint and old voice also quietly spread from the back. If you want to take people away, Nineth Heavenly Do Zun alone doesn't have this qualification. After Yao Chen recovered his strength, he was so terrifying that he just waved a few palms and repelled many strong men from the Soul Hall. At the moment when Nineth Heavenly Do Zun felt his palm being grabbed, he was shocked in his heart. He looked up abruptly and saw an old figure standing in the air behind Xiao Yan and exclaimed, "Yao Chen, you have actually recovered your strength." Nineth Heavenly Do Zun saw at a glance that Yao Chen's body was no longer illusory, obviously a solid body, and the terrifying aura emitted from his body even made him feel heart palpitations. "Teacher, you have woken up?" Yao Chen said, "Little guy, you go and help others first. I'll take care of him." Hearing this, Xiao Yan nodded and then retreated in the gloomy gaze of Nineth Heavenly Do Zun. "Yao Chen, do you think that after recovering to the peak strength, you can compete with our Soul Hall? The Soul Hall is not the strongest in the world. As long as some people don't make a move, your kind of person still can't threaten me." Yao Chen smiled lightly. "Today, the Soul Hall has made a big move, and you have hurt my only disciple. This account still needs to be paid back." Nineth Heavenly Do Zun's face was also gloomy. "Do you really think I am afraid of you?" Then his arm twisted, breaking free from Yao Chen's grip, opened his mouth, and the blue do qi gushed out, quickly condensing into a ferocious beast that rushed towards Yao Chen. Faced with Nineth Heavenly Do Zun's attack, Yao Chen remained calm, stretched out his palm and clenched it fiercely, and the space in front instantly collapsed, and the beast was cut off. After breaking Nineth Heavenly Do Zun's attack, Yao Chen's palm was far from the former, and he slapped it from a distance. At this time, Nineth Heavenly Do Zun felt an extreme danger. His handprint quickly changed, and he drank low, forming a 100 zhang huge blue water cover around him. The space giant hand fell heavily on it, and the surging space power instantly spread, and the seemingly solid blue water cover only lasted for a blink of an eye, and the blue water cover broke. Nineth Heavenly Do Zun's body was shaken back more than 100 meters, and he made a muffled hum in his throat. Xiao Yan looked at Yao Chen, who was in the upper wind, and smiled slightly. After Yao Chen recovered his peak strength, the falling star pavilion no longer had to fear the revenge of the Soul Hall. Suddenly, a loud noise came from the distance, and Tianyao puppet was retreating under the fierce attack of the black Heavenly Do Zun, and the hard body even had some dents. Obviously, with the strength of Tianyao puppet, it was still a bit difficult to fight alone. After pausing on Tianyao puppet for a moment, Xiao Yan turned to the battlefield of Qinglin and the white Heavenly Do Zun in the distance, but he was stunned to find that the scene of Qinglin's defeat did not appear. What he saw was a fierce battle. "Is this breath from the ancient heavenly serpent?" Xiao Yan squinted his eyes and felt the ancient nobility faintly in Qinglin's breath. As long as you can hold the black and white Heavenly Do Zuns, there is no danger. Feng Lao and Xiao Yixian and their strength should be enough to resist the attack of other strong men from the Soul Hall. Since there is no problem on Qinglin's side, he can make a move against the black Heavenly Do Zun. Just as Xiao Yan was thinking with a frown, Yao Chen in the sky also noticed it. He looked down at the star realm filled with the smell of blood, and his eyes twinkled with a cold light. He clenched his palm, and the huge space hand was condensed again, and then smashed down hard on the black and white Heavenly Do Zuns. These two powerful Heavenly Do Zuns instantly spat out a mouthful of blood and fell from the sky like a meteor, smashing into the forest sea. Seeing the black and white Heavenly Do Zuns who couldn't even withstand a round, the strong men in the distance couldn't help but gasp. After Yao Chen knocked down the black and white Heavenly Do Zuns with one palm, his palm kept flipping and bombarding below. The strong men of the Soul Hall who were contaminated by the space hand on the ground almost instantly burst into a group of black fog. Under the massacre of Yao Chen, those strong men of the Soul Hall finally felt fear. They hurriedly fled in all directions and no longer dared to stay in the Star Realm. Seeing the Soul Hall strong men suffer such a huge loss, Nineth Heavenly Do Zun's face also became gloomy. "Yao Chen, I really want to see if you can save the crisis of the falling star pavilion today." Then he took a deep breath, and his palms quickly made a series of dazzling handprints. With the change of the handprints, the surrounding space fluctuated, and then a crack slowly appeared. Then a white figure slowly walked out of the space. "Old Nine, I didn't expect that you really used the space jade slip. Don't talk nonsense. Take a good look at this time's opponent." Nineth Heavenly Do Zun frowned and said in a deep voice. After hearing this, the white figure raised his head. His eyes stopped on Yao Chen, and he was slightly stunned. "You have recovered your strength? The Soul Hall is really well prepared. Sending a Nineth Heavenly Do Zun is not enough, and even you are sent." Yao Chen glanced at the 8th Heavenly Do Zun and said lightly. The 8th Heavenly Do Zun's eyebrows trembled slightly, looked at the strong men of the Soul Hall who were fleeing in the distance, and then said, "With your strength alone, you are really not his opponent. It seems that today's operation has suffered a lot of losses." Nineth Heavenly Do Zun said with a gloomy face. "Although he has just recovered his body, his strength has been restored, but it is difficult to reach the peak state. I am not enough alone. If we two join hands, the victory or defeat is still unknown. Moreover, you have lost to him before, which has always been a pain in your heart. Now if you don't try, maybe there will be no chance in the future." Hearing this, the 8th Heavenly Do Zun's eyes fluctuated. After a while, he nodded slowly and said, "Since that's the case, let's do it. I also want to know if Yao Chen now still has the prestige of that year. Don't worry, we two join hands. Even a 9-star Do Zun can fight." Nineth Heavenly Do Zun smiled. His palm clenched fiercely, and the world quickly became moist, and countless raindrops condensed in the air. Yao Chen was suspended in the air, gazing at the strange raindrops that were spreading around with a calm look. At this moment, whether it was the disciples of the falling star pavilion or the strong men in the distance, their eyes were all focused on the sky. Everyone could feel that these two strong men of the Soul Hall were preparing a shocking attack. Nineth Heavenly Do Zun's face was extremely solemn, his handprint changed, and he shouted fiercely. Seeing the strange raindrops that filled the sky and earth trembled immediately, and then rushed fiercely to the front in a whooshing sound, finally condensing into a huge azure rainball about 100 qiong. When the rainball was formed, the 8th Heavenly Do Zun also took a deep breath, raised his palm to the rainball, and the palm spewed out a cold white extreme cold air, which was all attached to the rainball. In the blink of an eye, the azure rainball turned into a huge ice ball, and the energy contained in the ice ball seemed to become more and more terrifying. "I don't know if you can withstand our joint attack today." In response to the 8th Heavenly Do Zun's arrangement, Yao Chen just twitched his eyebrows, and his face did not fluctuate much. He seemed to care nothing about this huge ice ball. Rain erosion sky. The domineering roar resounded through the sky. Nineth Heavenly Do Zun pushed his hands fiercely, and the huge ice ball trembled and rotated at high speed, and finally rushed towards Yao Chen with a deafening roar. "Today, let you and this falling star pavilion be destroyed under our joint hands." When the ice ball entered the 100 qiong range of Yao Chen, under the gaze of countless eyes, Yao Chen finally slowly raised his palm. "Stop." Everyone was surprised to see that the ice ball solidified instantly less than a meter away from Yao Chen. There was silence all around, and the two of Nineth Heavenly Do Zun were also stunned. The full force of their joint attack, even a real Do Zun peak strong man, could not really say to let it stop and stop. Yao Chen's hand gently touched the huge ice ball, and his calm voice slowly sounded in the sky. "Now although I can't exert all my strength, it is still more than enough to deal with you two. Because now I am not a Do Zun peak, but a Half-Dou Sheng." These two simple words were like a deafening thunder, suddenly ringing in the ears of the two of Nineth Heavenly Do Zun. At this moment, it seemed that even the Do Qi in their bodies had stopped running. They opened their mouths wide, staring blankly at the old man in the distance. The level of Half-Dou Sheng may be unfamiliar to others, but it is very familiar to the two of Nineth Heavenly Do Zun, because this level is called the Abyss of Despair for all Do Zun peak strong men. The vast majority of the strong men who reach the Do Zun peak level stop at the edge of Half-Dou Sheng. No matter how hard they cultivate, they can't really step into this so-called Half-Dou Sheng level. Only by stepping into Half-Dou Sheng Can you have the qualification to step into Dou Sheng? It can even be said that Half-Dou Sheng is the most important cornerstone before stepping into Dou Sheng. As the Dou Di gradually became a legend in history, a simple, holy word represented the pinnacle of this world. In the star realm, all eyes were focused on the old figure in the sky. This old fellow actually stepped into that level. The Wind Do Zun and others also stared at the figure in astonishment, and after a while, their eyes finally showed an extremely ecstatic expression. The falling star pavilion is going to prosper. The many strong men who had been fleeing stopped their steps because of the scene in the sky. Although the Soul Hall is terrible, the falling star pavilion in the future will no longer be a place they can destroy at will. On the mountain peak, Xiao Yan showed a surprised expression. Elder Pill's breakthrough from the peak of Dou Zun to the half-saint level was completely unexpected. Although the materials used by Elder Pill to refine the body this time were all top-grade options, and even an arm of a Dou Sheng was added, he never thought that Elder Pill could finally break through. In the sky, Elder Pill calmly glanced at the two of Nineth, Heavenly Dou Zun in the distance, then touched the ice ball with his palm, and slowly grasped it. The ice ball, full of terrifying energy, suddenly twisted, and with a crisp sound in Elder Pill's light voice, it burst instantly. Looking at the ice debris slowly falling from the sky, countless people swallowed their saliva. Such a terrifying attack that could destroy the heavens and the earth was actually so easily resolved, and even Elder Pill's sleeves did not move. Is this the strength of a half-saint strong man? When the ice ball was destroyed, the two of Nineth Heavenly Dou Zun were also affected. Their bodies trembled, and a muffled hum came from their throats. Eighth Heavenly Dou Zun wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, staring at Elder Pill in the distance, his eyes filled with horror and unwillingness. He was defeated by Elder Pill in the past, and he didn't expect to be completely defeated by the latter again at the first meeting today. Nineth Heavenly Dou Zun clenched his teeth, and after realizing Elder Pill's strength, he understood that today's operation had completely failed. Nineth Heavenly Dou Zun took a deep breath and immediately made a decision, and shouted to Eighth Heavenly Dou Zun in a deep voice. He has become a half-saint now, and even if you and I join hands, we are not his opponent. Let's go. He waved his palm and tore a space crack, and then the two figures flashed and flew towards the crack. Since we have come, we still need to leave something. Seeing this scene, Elder Pill in the distance smiled lightly, stretched out his palm, and clenched the space crack from a distance. With Elder Pill's palm clenched, the space crack immediately collapsed, and an unparalleled terrifying force penetrated the space and rushed into the crack, faintly transmitting two low screams. Yao Zun, you wait. Our soul hall will never give up. In response to this roar, Elder Pill smiled slightly. Now he is no longer the Pill Dou Zun of that year. Perhaps he can change a title, such as Pill Dou Sheng. Looking at the place where the Nineth Heavenly Dou Zun two people disappeared, Elder Pill slowly withdrew his gaze after a while. He turned around and landed next to Xiao Yan. Elder Pill sighed lightly. If it weren't for my just promoted foundation is unstable, maybe those two guys would stay and be buried. Teacher need not mind. If it weren't for you to make a move, I'm afraid the Falling Star Pavilion would really be in big trouble. Xiao Yan said with a smile. Old guy, congratulations. While Elder Pill was talking with Xiao Yan, the Wind Do Zun quickly brought people over and laughed from a distance, saluting Elder Pill with his hands. Elder Pill shook his head with a smile and said softly, Go and clean up the mess first. I'm afraid the Soul Hall will not come easily in the future. The Wind Do Zun nodded. After the Soul Hall left, the Falling Star Pavilion, which had experienced a tragic battle, gradually calmed down. However, because a half-saint strong man appeared in the Falling Star Pavilion, the Central Plains were strongly shaken. Everyone understood what a half-saint strong man symbolized, and even the Pill Tower had never had one. This alone made the momentum of the Falling Star Pavilion greatly increased, especially when people learned that this half-saint strong man was also the first alchemist on the mainland. This momentum was infinitely magnified. Therefore, after just 2 or 3 days of calm, the Falling Star Pavilion became lively, and the leaders of various forces and some old strong men came to visit one after another. Under this kind of liveliness, Some strong men who had old friendships with Elder Pill and the Wind Do Zun finally accepted the invitation and became the guest elders of the Falling Star Pavilion. In the busy and lively atmosphere of the Falling Star Pavilion, Xiao Yan did not participate too much. Therefore, after the Soul Hall left, he chose to close the door and cultivate in the stone tower on the back mountain. Xiao Yan sat on the stone platform of the top floor of the stone tower, slowly exhaled. His eyes slowly opened from the closed state, feeling the surging Do Qi in his body again. A smile appeared on his face. "Are you awake?" A kind laugh sounded beside. Xiao Yan turned his gaze and saw Elder Pill standing by the stone window of the stone tower, smiling. "Teacher, why are you here? Those things are more suitable for the wind old head, and I don't like such things just like you," Elder Pill said with a smile. Xiao Yan also smiled, as if thinking of something. He stroked the black ring, then took it off and flicked it towards Elder Pill and said, "Teacher, since you have been reborn, this thing should return to the original owner." Elder Pill was slightly stunned. He touched the ring. After a while he said, "Teacher's lifelong learning is left in this ring. Now you should have mastered most of it. To some extent, you have reached the qualification to graduate. These things are not too useful to you." Elder Pill put on the black ring, and then changed the subject with a smile. "But there is something very useful to you." After speaking, Elder Pill gently touched the black ring, and a group of pale white flames rose from it, suspended in front of Elder Pill, which was the bone spirit cold fire.